At the high priest Caiaphas legally questioned Jesus upon his doctrine upon his disciples, St. John reports this, yes, after the account of the false witnesses, absolutely ridiculous, one should really allow him to explain his doctrine, and that is something that shows some kind of research for legality as of such a trial. Why do I say it's an appearance of legality? Because the reality had been that the former was respected, but the judges has already pronounced their sentence, so that Jesus did not even attempt to defend his doctrine, and he simply replied saying, I always had been speaking in broad daylight publicly. Everything I said in broad daylight. Ask the crowd yourself. Jesus would not answer like that before Pilate, who did not necessarily hear his teachings. If he did so before Caiaphas, it was because Caiaphas knows perfectly what his teachings are: love of God, forgiveness of sin, etc. In fact, one can even imagine the thoughts of Jesus' interlocutors by the way he replied. Similarly, he wouldn't respond to Pilate because Pilate just wanted to have fun mocking him. There had been no point in answering him. Now imagine that Jesus had answered all their questions, as did Joan of Arc, who underwent a very similar type of unfair trial. They would have listened politely, they would have contradicted, and that would have changed nothing. When the sentence had been laid before the judge individual, as the Sanhedrin judges wanted to give the appearance of a fair trial, they could have very well convened court, as it so happened. This allowed the accused to speak, and afterwards the judge declare his sentence regardless of what he has been accounted. This has occurred many times, so obviously when there is a clerk, as should be so in a normal trial, as was the case for Joan of Arc, or here concerning Jesus' trial, the testimonies were taken from the apostles. We could compare this sentence to their proceedings as Jesus' trial. But when the proceedings were oral, where there was no clerk at all, the jury's deliberations remained secret. There was no way for the convicted person to justify whether or not he had been wrongly convicted, except by chance. He had the idea of recording the proceedings, things normally prohibited in the courts. But when it was an unfair trial, when the person can contest, he must do so. The conclusion is that since Jesus' teachings is clear, he had not been allowed to have the interrogation of Caiaphas, and therefore to pretend that the process had been fair and legal, and consequently one may conclude that this trial had been an hypocritically unfair trial.